that this is where you find out about the culture that you have. We got to get tighter than we've ever been, and we're going to have to quiet the noise because there'll be plenty of noise coming out of this game.
Stevie Lee, I don't know what to make of what happened at the Swamp, but we have the playmaker. We have one of my favorite people who has some really good insight on covering the Longhorns on this great week. And we'll tell you why it's a great week after a loss like that. Stevie Lee, I've got to get your initial feelings because you had to watch this from afar because you are a college volleyball dad now.
I am. Man, I don't know what my feelings are exactly, man, but it was tough to watch. Defense couldn't get stops, and our offense just couldn't get going into a rhythm that I would like it to be in. Man, it was tough to watch, but I can't wait to get the other guys' view on what we saw this weekend.
All right, that's Stevie Lee. I am Sean Clynch. We're both the co-host of the series, The Pass Rush with Stevie Lee. And you know what? I love the fact that I get to ask you this every time because we love the Hargrove family. And it's good to know the people who is doing the work, and they have the best marketing slogan of all roofing companies based out of Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm having a speech impediment all of a sudden. Shreveport, Louisiana, the great home of the Stevie Lee, and they have migrated to Texas, and they are loyal supporters of Texas Longhorn athletics. Stevie Lee, I'm in marketing now, but you're a marketing genius for said Hargrove Roofing. How do you properly say that very popular slogan that they have?
Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof.
And that was with authority, and I love it. And please go ahead and follow while you can, because we're going to get deep into this discussion about what happened in Gainesville, Florida, in that beautiful setting that we all love. Dallas, Texas, at that venerable, leaky old girl. Half of it's renovated now. We'll get into that. Follow us on each of our social media platforms. They're all listed right there. There's so many of them. And Stevie, I'm very proud of myself. So much to the point I'm going to put that I have learned TikTok on my resume. It has been a journey, and we finally have grown a little bit there. I don't know how to figure out the metrics of it, but we're on board. We got it going. Stevie, we got to make you smile. We want to hear those opinions because it's a week to be opinionated. What do you think? You ready for episode 485?
Let's ride.
Let's ride, baby.
We still have a chance. The season is not over by any means. We lost an SEC game last year and still made it to the championship. So, we're not hanging our heads thinking that this season's over by any means.
All right, that was Michael Taft. Very unorthodox, uncharacteristic performance in every facet of that game by Texas. Defense, very leaky. Up front, both lines never really establish themselves. The defensive line looked pretty good at times later in the game. Arch, I thought, and someone called me a libtard on Twitter because I said that Arch made the most improvement of anybody on the team, calling me making excuses for him because I'm a libtard. That made me laugh. Because anyone who knows me knows that I'm apolitical. I love that word because you get to stress the word A. But quick, I know we just talked about it before we bring in the playmaker. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we just dive deep in with two valued opinions?
No, man, I'm a little bit disappointed in the defensive line. I was watching the game, and I was hanging my hat on the defensive line when the season was starting. But I was watching Texas play Texas in practice, and so it's starting to look like it wasn't good on good. It was just okay on okay. So reality. Yeah, it's starting to sit in, man. So that's my little take on the defense and the defensive line.
Well, before we bring in the Mike Adams, I do want to relay, and I want to keep this guy's person anonymous. All I can say is he's a former Longhorn with great knowledge and has watched a lot of film. He said that Florida team was built to beat Georgia, and they are now getting their stride. And to think that Lagway did what he did to Texas, and he didn't even run, never had to run with one leg. But he says that roster is built to beat Georgia. On that note, let's bring in the Playmaker 83. Mike Adams, you know, yesterday you have a lot of Louisville gear because you are a Louisville Cardinal football parent. We talked to you yesterday evening briefly. You were at an Airbnb with your entire family. Louisville almost got the job done at Virginia. Now we're going to switch to your Longhorns. Adding to what Stevie just said, give me your baby Mike Adams thoughts. Do you agree or disagree with me about Arch Manning? I thought that he took a leap forward in his development.
Yeah, I think I thought he had, and it's odd saying, okay, out of all the games he played this year, I think he played his best football. That's not the best football that he's going to play for his career, obviously, but more so than the 300-yard game he had against, Sam Houston State or San Jose State, whoever it was. From a toughness standpoint, I mean, first of all, the guy took a beating, wasn't really protected well. That's not to say Arch doesn't have blame in this. I mean, because, yes, he's still missing throws. He's still missing reads. He may be taking some unnecessary sacks because he hold on to the ball too long. Not really getting through his progressions, whatever those may look like. I mean, I'm still kind of questioning what we're doing in terms of offense. And he hung in there, finished the game. I think it's disappointing from some mechanical things in terms of footwork and, him hitting certain types of throws. I don't understand why he's struggling with that. And to me, I don't even know if I can really blame Arch on that. I just think that's a development issue. I'm not quite sure where that's hitting at as of right now. But from a competition standpoint, competing, I thought he did good, man. Again, that's not to say that he didn't make mistakes, because surely he made mistakes. But from competing and just hanging in there, I like what he did on Saturday, and I think it's a step in the right direction for him, to be honest.
Yeah, penalties is a undisciplined team, man. Just offsides. I know it's loud in the swamp, but man, you can't win the game with that many penalties. I forgot what it was. I had it pulled up and it now went away. It's just hard to win a game that way, man. And Mike, I'm with you. I didn't think that Arch did terrible. There was some, there's always going to be some bad negative grades on the film for him, right. But he wasn't terrible. He just did not have the help, and that was surprising to me, man. I'm talking like offensive linemen standing straight up and getting whiffed, letting people whiff right by them. Our defensive line, I don't know if they're not teaching them to not get blown off the ball. You got to hit the ground and pull that offensive lineman on top of you, So,
right.
But penalties, man, is killing us right now. All the games we've out penalized everyone. And I think we're in the bottom of the country penalty yards and penalties and penalty yards. So,
yeah, and that's Mike. And what Stevie's saying, everybody who's listening, basically Stevie just said we're one of the worst in the country, or not we. Texas is one of the worst in the country, the most penalties, and that's shocking for a Sarkisian coach team, in my opinion. And what blows my mind is why did they not go into the portal for O-line? Did they think that this was okay? Because to Mike's point, Arch was sacked 6 times, and he was hurried 8 other times. To me, it felt like he was touched by a Gator every play. And I had to show y'all this, and I know it's AI. AI to me is very dangerous. It's the first time I've ever laughed at an AI-generated video. But I saw this, and I was thinking of all three of you, and we're going to introduce the third one here shortly.
Dion, you've just won a brand new offensive line. No way, a whole line? Hook 'em, baby. Yeah, the Texas Longhorns starting front five, all yours for the season. 1,000 yards behind you.
That's crazy.
I'm not a big AI guy. I know because it can be dangerous, but are you guys to the point where you, Mike, you think about, God, it'd be nice to have some portal guys on that O-line.
See, man, and that's odd that we're even talking about the portal and the O-line with Texas, because when we came into the season, all we heard about was guys that are getting ready to replace first-round guys. We talked about Trevor Goolsby and some of these other guys stepping up, but I always felt like the O-line was going to be young, inexperienced, and they were going to have some trouble this year. I mean, that was one of my biggest concerns going into the season. I'm not saying the portal is the answer, and people want to kind of harp on that right now. I mean, those guys are just young, man. Okay, if the O-line is in question and we need to go to the portal, do we need to do the same at quarterback? Do we need to do the same at receiver? Because we got blue chip 5-star guys that we recruited to come here that we feel like can get the job done. They're young, man. They're inexperienced. I think the number one ranking was a little bit of a reach, considering everything that we've lost, not only last year, but the year before. 2 semifinal football teams. Man, we got 12 to 15 guys, 20 guys almost, that are in the league from the last 2 football teams.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Man, that's a lot of production loss. So, man, guys are going to struggle. I mean, Arch didn't have to play for 2 years because he's got a guy in Quinn Ewers who's playing for the Miami Dolphins right now. Regardless of what round he went in, he's playing for the Miami Dolphins right now, a seasoned guy in college that had a lot of football, played a lot of football in some big-time games, man. Yeah, Arch was going to struggle this year, but the average fan doesn't understand that. I mean, I know we football people, we get it. I'm not surprised we are where we are right now. What I am surprised about, though, and Stevie touched on it, I'm really shocked at our defense, because I really thought it would be a knock-em-out, slug-em football game, 13-10, 13-0, really, because Florida has been non-existent offensively. DJ Lagway has probably been the worst quarterback passing-wise, efficiency-wise, in the country the last few weeks. He goes out here and we let him throw for 300 yards. And I'm really puzzled by that. I'm puzzled by the game plan we had defensively. We got no pressure on a guy who I guess I'm assuming he has one leg, he hasn't been healthy, so we should have been in his face all game. But he was allowed to hit some throws down the field. I think scheme-wise, challenging the receivers one-on-one and giving him an opportunity to make plays down the field. I mean, that's what happens when you play, single coverage. But if we I don't understand why we didn't copy the blueprint that LSU laid out for us and that Miami did. I mean, Miami, they can get pressure with their front four. I mean, they got a guy that's being talked about for the Heisman Trophy, defensive end, Bain. And we have a guy similar to that. Colin Simmons can be that. But I'm not sure. We're not. I guess we're not quite there yet defensively. Obviously not, because we didn't get to the backfield. We didn't sack Lagway one time. And man, I'm going to wrap it up. But this makes me revert back to the Texas and being soft thing. Because Florida pushed us around, man. They pushed us around. I didn't really expect that. And it makes you wonder, when the critics come out and they're like, oh, yep, see, Texas, man, those guys are down there in the high-rise apartments. They got Lamborghinis and all that type of stuff. And it's just not that kind of makes you mad from that standpoint, because I know we're better than that.
Well, that's a good point. And Stevie and Mike, for those of you who feel the same way and are emotionally invested, if you need some hydration, this place right here is where you need to go to help soothe those emotions. Yeah, Dave Ramirez at Northwest Hills Liquor will help you on game day or game day eve, or try to get over certain volatile emotions you have about a position group. But one guy I know who knows a lot, who's going to help us understand all this, is one of my favorite humans. Let's bring him in. Bob Ballou, KEYE Sports. And I've got to give it up to them. They have entered the world of podcasting, and that is, we'll just get that out of the way. The Stampede with Stevie Lee's head coach, the great Mac Brown, and the legendary Vince Young. Great job on it. You have a great set. Give us a little brief summary so all of us can follow along with the Stampede.
Absolutely. No, it's been a blast to do it. I think Mac and Vince, Mac's Mac. We knew what we were going to get in Mac. He's tremendous storyteller, tremendous guy that just brings out life and brings, his energy is, you can feed off it. Honestly, didn't know what we were going to get from Vince. Vince hadn't been in the public eye, hasn't done a lot of podcasts or interviews since he retired from the NFL. And this has been such an awesome opportunity for him to get to tell some of his stories. And he's been awesome. He's as incredible a teammate as you could ever expect. And it's been a blast. We're having a lot of fun doing it. We release an episode every week. We've got you just said VIP entering the man cave. We got a really big VIP coming on the show this week, so we're excited about that too. But it's awesome. We're having a blast doing it. And those guys have just been fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what. I've been a lot of places to cover games. That's one of my favorite, if not right at the top. They needed no bells and whistles. They didn't, and that's not a knock on teams that do. Not a knock on Texas or Texas A&M. The environments are great at both. There was no drone show. There was no pumping crowd, music in a whole lot. There was no they were just Florida, and they were loud. The press box was outside, so we got to hear a lot of it. It was loud. They do they sing "I Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty at the end of the third quarter, and it was incredible. It was everything you could want in a game day atmosphere. And then for it to be obviously on their side, to have such a good game and play as well as they did, which I think if you didn't expect that, you weren't really watching who they were, I don't think, because they were in that Miami game. They were in that LSU game in the fourth quarter, on the road at both places against top 5 teams. And it was 13-7 and 13-10 in both those games. They knew coming out of a bye week, they were going to have a lot of energy and play better. And then they got Dallas Wilson back, who was just unbelievable. His first game at the college level, and he does what he did against Texas. It was a spectacular atmosphere, and I understand we're going to get into what Texas did, but from the Florida side, it was just a special place to be on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to jump in here real quick. The atmosphere is lit up there. I was recruited by Florida and went to the Florida State game when Peter Rourke reverse field and went into the end zone. It was so loud in that stadium, man. And I knew it was going to be tough playing there for the Longhorns. But the other thing, what was not surprising to me, but they knew that they were going to win this game. They knew they had something special because an unranked team beat a number 9 team and not one student ran on the field. They knew what we were and they knew who they are. So that's disappointing. It's disappointing to say the least.
For both of you, when you think about this game that Texas just had with Florida, one number really stood out to me, and it's rather disturbing. Bob, what does number 15 represent for you for this? I'll just say this. When I looked at the box score, I was using my math skills that I learned at the great Stephen F. Austin, and I couldn't believe that that's what it was.
Yeah, it's Tim Tebow's number, right? That's where
correct. And they're retiring it here in Austin too.
And Texas honored him by running for 15 yards. Listen, I think the run game is. Sark talked about it this week. It's an issue. They've got to figure something out. I think number one, losing C.J. Baxter, I think, has been a much bigger deal than what people want to give it credit for. I think go back to that Ohio State game. They ran for 166 yards against Ohio State. I know that's not great, but there weren't a lot of possessions in that game, and they ran it fine. And they've run it fine until Saturday. I think this offensive line, it was the same as the defensive line off the start, but this offensive line just kind of got punched in the face, and didn't know how to take it. Florida was shifting right before the snap. Sark said that gave them some issues. And then Quintravian Wisner's coming off injury. He has 8 carries for 11 yards. We didn't see Jared Gibson at all. They ran some Ryan Niblett. They ran a couple Christian Clark carries. But, it goes back to kind of one of the things we talked about. They don't have the explosive back that they had in Jadon Blue last year.
Yeah,
that's an issue. I mean, they don't have that guy. And against Ohio State, they were able to run it with CJ and Quintravian both. I think losing CJ was big, not just from a veteran experience standpoint, but from a guy who could really make a difference offensively. Again, he's not the break it loose speed guy, but he brings a different element that I feel like Texas doesn't have right now. And it's not to knock on Quintravian. He was a 1,000-yard rusher in the SEC last year. But they just got to figure out a way to get the run game going, and they couldn't do it off the start, and it never got going, and it was absolutely an issue on Saturday. My assumption is they will find a way to make that better by this Saturday. You're going to have to if you're going to beat Oklahoma. But Saturday was really rough to watch, and even with Arch running as well as he did on a few of the plays on the scrambles, it never really opened up that Florida defense, and Texas just wasn't able to run the ball.
Stevie, I wanted to save this topic for you. I know we mentioned it. The defense, absolutely. I'm just in shock because we haven't seen them give up the run and have teams seal off the edge. And I know they play 3 inferior opponents, but the run on Texas, Stevie, I mean, for you to see that, and was there any type of stat that you remember from this game that maybe Bob could better elaborate on because he was there on the field and above?
I don't know what the stat is for yards after first contact, but we were getting there. I think we did not play well on defense. And I'm sorry, give me Florida's running back's name. What's his name?
Jaden Baugh.
Jaden Baugh.
Jaden
Yeah.
Baugh.
He's actually pretty good, guys.
Yeah.
Yes, we did play bad on defense, but the way he was putting his shoulder down, the way he was making people miss and bouncing people off of him, I was like, we're not playing well, but that kid is pretty good. He's pretty good. And I think that we may have underestimated Florida, but just keep a lookout on Jaden. He's actually really, really good. But when it comes down to my defensive line, they were getting blown off the ball some plays, like push back 5 yards. That just cannot happen. One, that just can't happen at the University of Texas. I'm sorry. That's what we hung our hat on. Big linemen taking over the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So that right there was really disappointing to me. But it was, and then no one could get to a quarterback with a hobbled leg. You know, we couldn't get to him. It felt like we were still trying to run base defense when we needed to, pull out some tricks and things like that. But we couldn't get anything done on defense. Now, I would still be saying the same thing if we would have driven down the field and went for 2 and tied the game up and won in overtime. I would have still said the same thing if we'd have pulled out that win. But it's just some things that we still got to work on. That and another thing, guys, what I noticed is you're supposed to get better and better, right, throughout the season. I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing how Arch got a little bit better, but as a team, no. I'm not seeing us getting better. I see us regressing, in fact.
The best thing about Mondays is you can't look back to Sunday because that's the day after the game. And then so far, that 24-hour rule was 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
But we all, even as fans and media members, you really can't look back unless there's stories. But what we can do before we talk about what I think is one of the greatest sporting events on this planet, I've got to show you. We do that, Bob. We do this thing. A lot of people do these power rankings. It's not really. It's more of a rating type deal. But there are 2 Blue Bloods on our latest edition, which I'm sorry there was no justification to keep them. Let's see if you can point out which 2 are no longer on this fraternity. James Franklin and Steve Sarkisian are not having a good Monday or
Not at all.
last weekend. More so Penn State.
Hey, Clynch, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
When Missouri just absolutely houses Alabama this weekend, will you please put them in the top 5?
I think they're interchangeable.
Okay, thank you. Just want to be sure.
So the same coach that I referenced earlier, he said your Missouri running back is perhaps the best running back in the country.
Ahmad Hardy is fantastic. They're the best rushing attack in the SEC. And I think obviously this week will be the week to prove it when you go up against an Alabama front like they have. But I'm just telling you right now, like the combination of Roberts and Ahmad Hardy has been fantastic for them. And, I'm an AP poll voter, and I've got them ranked 6th right now. And I know that's been higher than everybody else, but it's been higher than everybody else for the last 2 years. And Missouri's kind of proven me right. They won 11 games 2 years ago and 10 games last year, and Drink's really got it going. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz is doing a great job there. This is not a alma mater production. I'm not just here to promote Mizzou. But I will say they've been really good and really consistent this year. And I think if they can get the running attack going against Alabama, they've got a real chance to win that game Saturday in Columbia.
Let me say something about number 12, Georgia Tech. So Blake Gideon left Texas, his alma mater, to go be the defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. And at first I was like, man, what are you doing? You're in a dream place. You're in Austin, Texas. He was a client of mine. I sold him a house out in Dripping Springs. Very nice house. Beautiful family and everything. And I was like, why are you leaving to go to Georgia Tech? Looks like it's a pretty good move for him. Looked like it's a pretty good move. He now we're talking about him. He's in the top 12. So I'm happy for the kid. I text him every now and then whenever he has a good game. So good on that defense over there at Georgia Tech.
They can win that league.
Yeah, they can.
See. So between Bob, Ballou, and I'm going to give a rough estimate. 40 Red River rivalries, and between Stevie and Mike, I mean, they played 10 maybe total, and you've been to many more than that. So there's a lot of experience in this room with this game. So in a very dramatic, probably too long at length, this is what we're going to transition to.
Victory over Texas do for you and your club now?
I'm happier than pig eating shit.
That was a little dramatic, and you can tell.
No,
it's been a while.
It was not. It was spot on, man. I'm so fired up right now.
Yeah,
and Bob, you guys can tell that I haven't been on the field in a while, so my my archive of photos are reaching a decade almost. But we'll start with Mike Adams because you're driving, and we're very impressed with your 10-2 skills while being a guest on a podcast, and your wife is very secure as a passenger princess with you in her hand. That's very nice. We'll start with the player perspective. Mike, you were on that field in '94 with James Brown when Texas finally beat them. Well, not finally. You guys won 4 straight.
Well, we actually won my freshman year. That was Peter Gardier's 4th straight win against OU. Right. In '92, we came back and lost in '93. I'm not gonna say that was because that was my best statistical game playing against OU, because I did go for like 2 touchdowns and $120, and but that was actually like my coming out party into my own as a receiver, because Maggie started to throw me the ball. But man, we beat him in '94. The JV game, Stoney Clark, stop it on the goal line, and then 95, man, when we kind of had a resurgence as a program, that's the one blemish on our record besides the Virginia Tech loss in the Sugar Bowl. We tied OU after being up 24-0 at the half. I mean, they were a good team. We were a good team. And if we win that game, obviously, I mean, we're going into the bowl game. We might even be at a better bowl because we would have been 11-1 going to that bowl game and top 5, all that kind of stuff. But, and then my senior year, we lost the game, the first overtime rules, and they were a winless football team, winless. So rivalry, man, this particular game here, no one cares what happened the week before. No one cares what's going to happen at the end of the season. If you don't come ready to play this particular week right here, whether you're ranked number 1, and we've seen it. I've grown up and watched OU Texas games when torrential downpour, Jeff Ward kicking a 50-yard field goal to tie it up in 84, I believe. And I've seen it on both sides, man. You got to come ready to play, or it really could ruin your season, especially back in the day when there was only, 2 teams chosen by the pollsters. It could affect the rest of the season. I mean, now obviously we got the playoff, but you got to have your chin strap buckled up, head on the swivel, man. All those little cliche words and saying you got to be ready this week.
Stevie, before we go to Bob's perspective from today's press conference, Stevie, what's your favorite memory in which you can truly accurately paint the picture of what this game is like for someone who's never been on that field, that tunnel, or in those locker rooms that face each other?
Well, I'm gonna reveal a dirty secret is I don't like it to be out there, but I've never beat OU.
Oh my God!
2000 to 05, I never beat OU. But where's my ball? I never lost against A&M, so that's my claim to fame, right? Anyway, but the worst. I don't know if I told you this last year, Clynch, but I was doing a pregame show with golly, I forget his name, but anyway, I was doing a pregame show, so I got access to sideline passes while I was out of school, a couple years out of school, right? And I'm a large human being, right? Me and Philip Geiger were sitting on the sideline, and I said, I'm gonna walk down here to the other end of the field. The other end of the field was the OU fans, right? And so I'm standing on the sideline by myself, and I'm just watching the game. It was kind of quiet in the stadium. I was just down there watching the game. I'm gonna be quick. And all of a sudden I hear, "Hey, Bevo! Hey, Bevo!" About 10, 15 times. "Hey, Bevo! Bevo! Hey, Bevo!" And I'm like, Bevo's on the other end of the field. What is this person talking about? And so I turn around, and his whole section starts to laugh. And I was like, he's talking about me. Guys, I dropped my head and just walked to the other end of the field, man. So those are the kind of fans and the hostile environment that we got to play in front of. They're just mean. They're mean people, man, and I don't like them. I don't like them at all. And I in my head, and I'll go down. And the other mistake I made is I walked up to Ahmad Brooks and Phillip, and I tell them the story, and they just died. They were rolling on the sidelines, just laughing because it was pretty clever. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, Bevo.
Yeah. Hey, Bevo.
But Bob, before we go to you, I wanted to show. This is from, I think, post game OU and Kent State. OU won 44-0. Of course, Brent was asked, "What do you think about Texas and their problems?" And these coaches don't. I mean, I don't think he was exaggerating. I think he was legit. Their problems. I'm worried about our problems for the most part. This is Brent after their game Saturday.
Every team in college football got problems. And, so whatever those are, I'm worried about what our problems are and where we need to get better.
So, Bob, you were at Sark's availability today and the players, of course. I think, did you talk to any of the players today? I can't remember.
I was there for a little bit, but not much.
Well, the big question for OU side, Mateer had, I mean, in Oklahoma, they are putting Dr. Shin up on a pedestal that he's a god because he may save Mateer in order for him to play. But do you honestly expect Mateer to be trotted out there against Texas?
The second that they said John Mateer was having surgery, the first thing I said was he'll play against Texas. And I think I just still to this point have very little doubt that he will play against. I don't care what Venables said Saturday about, we expect him to be out, whatever. I think all that's gamesmanship. I think John Mateer will start Saturday against Texas, and I will be stunned if he doesn't. I think, again, it's Texas OU. I mean, they're going to do everything they can to get him ready and make sure he's ready to go. Again, it may be too quick, and maybe he doesn't end up playing. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever it was, I thought Dylan Gabriel would play, and he didn't play. But that was a little more reasonable. I think there were some things going on there. I feel like Mateer is going to play. If Hawkins plays, it's a real issue for Oklahoma. And the Texas defense is going to they'll be ready. I think, Saturday against Florida, I think they just got punched in the mouth early and they weren't ready for it. There's some guys, Hero Canoe played last year for Ohio State in big atmospheres, but think about like the Cole Brevards coming from Purdue, Murad Watson coming from Syracuse, Travis Shaw coming from North Carolina. There weren't a lot of guys that had played in that type of atmosphere. And I think they just got punched and they were like, what's going on? And it kind of carried over. Malik Muhammad didn't play on Saturday. That was a big loss for Texas as well. So they're going to be ready Saturday. I still think they're an elite defense, and I think they'll be ready. I think the bigger question is, and if it's Hawkins again, I think that's a real issue for Oklahoma. As much as they can talk about he's improved, I mean, go watch that Kent State tape. He wasn't great. I think he threw for 162 yards and ran for another 35 or whatever. Like, he just wasn't great. And so Texas obviously dominated him last year. For all the reasons I just said, I think John Mateer will be the starting quarterback for Oklahoma on Saturday.
We'll start with you guys, Mike, and then Stevie, just whatever questions you may have for Bob. And I'll start with this. This shocks me, and it's probably moved since then. Texas is a 3.5-point favorite, and I don't understand that.
That's all Hawkins.
That's the Hawkins.
I really believe that. Like, I really believe I think they listen. Try to. I think we all get caught up in everything that goes on, but really, Sark kind of mentioned this a little bit today too. But I've been thinking about this. If before the year started, you said Texas went to Ohio State and Texas went to Florida and lost, that wouldn't be a stunning development. You wouldn't just be like out of your mind. I can't believe they lost to those two teams. Like, Ohio State was a defending national champion. Everybody thought Florida was going to take a big step this year. You go on the road in the SEC, that's always tough anyway. It doesn't matter. When they go to Starkville, it's going to be tough to overcome some of those things. It's just the road. It's the way it is in this league. And there are probably 12 or 13 good teams in this league right now. So I wouldn't say I was stunned by that, but I think that 3.5-point line probably makes sense from the vantage point of I think the under makes a lot more sense. That if that over-under was 30, I'd probably take the under right now. But I think it's because they don't think Mateer is going to play, and I think that's probably part of it.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Bob said. I mean, I think wholeheartedly, I believe Mateer is playing. I mean, first of all, he finished the game in which he broke his thumb in. So I think them having surgery on it, I mean, it's more, I mean, obviously you want to fix it. And they found the best doctor this side of the Mississippi River. And like you said, they put him up on a pedestal. Now, guy's pretty famous. But he's going to be even more famous after the game if OU gets the desired results that they want. But Mateer's playing that game. Too much on the line for OU, man. I mean, they're top 10 right now. The college football playoff is hanging in the balance. You weren't even picked to beat Texas at the beginning of the year. I mean, your program was in shambles according to the public, and here you are now. You seem to have turned it around. The momentum, from a lot of viewpoints, OU has it, and they don't want that to die out. And I agree with everything he said about Hawkins. I mean, Hawkins just learned a new offense, and it probably looked like that against a Kent State football team. He's not ready for a Texas defense. Texas will find itself again if Hawkins plays this game and starts. Matter of fact, if he does, you can go ahead and double that 3.5-point favorite. We'll win by double digits, to be honest, because Hawkins is not ready.
Stevie, I thought of you the intriguing matchups. I mean, I can't really think of one in particular other than who is trotted out at quarterback. Is there anything that you've been thinking about as far as players or matchups between Longhorns and the Sooners? Anything in particular?
Well, I've been thinking about what our offense needs to do to put some points up on the board. I think that our defense can hold them. I think that anybody that's out there betting should take the under, but we need to put points on the board. So what I did see in the Florida game is Arch was rolling out to his left. He made some plays that way, but those were scrambles basically. But I think putting him out, taking him out of the pocket, rolling him out to the left and right may help him. He can see down the field. He still has his eyes down the field, but he also can tuck that thing and run it, So I think that that should actually put some wrinkles into the game plan for a couple of wrinkles. I do like some of the trick plays that they called that just didn't hit on offense. But I think if we play a little bit better on offense, we're still in both those games that we lost. We got to remember, and Bob, what you just said earlier kind of made me feel like that I'm being too negative because we did have some positives, right? So I don't know, Bob. What do you think about what does our offense need to do against this OU defense to come out and be successful?
To your point, I mean, Oklahoma is basically number one in the conference in just about every statistic defensively, and I think that matchup against the offensive line is going to be the one that it's not. You don't need Texas to take this step where all of a sudden this offensive line understands everything and accomplishes everything it wants to accomplish. You need them to find some kind of stability in some way. Just don't let them get to the quarterback. Don't let them get the pressure that they got on Saturday. And I think that's going to be maybe the biggest part of this. Usually when we go into this game, what do we say? Whoever runs the ball better is going to win the game. That ends up being so much of this game. Who's the tougher, more physical team? And I think by getting punched in the mouth on Saturday, I think that will put in their minds we need to be the more physical team. We need to be that team that we think we can be. And we weren't that on Saturday. And usually when that happens, you respond pretty well. I know it's a young team, but I would think there's enough experience there. There are going to be enough people telling them that's who they need to be Saturday against Oklahoma. Now, are they going to run for 250 yards? Probably not. I mean, I think when you're through 5 games, you kind of know who you are. But if Texas can run for 150 yards Saturday, I think that's going to free up enough for Arch to be able to do some things offensively with the wide receivers, get the tight ends involved. They got to get Jack Endries back involved somehow. And I think if you can do that, if you can 125, 150 yards rushing, that might be enough, especially if Hawkins plays. But either way, I think that might be enough to solidify some things for them offensively, get them a little stable, calm them down a little bit. And then, again, let Arch play with the intensity he played with against Sam Houston. I didn't think he did that enough against Florida. And I think it's regressed, and then it comes back, and then it goes – and that's a young quarterback trying to figure out who he is. I hope his mom saying you shouldn't have gotten in that defender's place didn't affect him too much because he needs to get in somebody's face. That's what he needs. That's who he is. And until he's that guy consistently, he might struggle a little bit at times. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Just find a way to run the ball a little bit against Oklahoma, and I think you'll be all right.
And so, Bob, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? This made me think about, and I really haven't seen it all year, especially going into this game. I think us playing with tempo is going to be very, very important. Because when you have an offensive line that's struggling, you have a run game that's struggling as a result, and they're getting to Arch, almost every other play, it seems. Stevie Lee, you touched on it just now, and I think I hit it last week, getting Arch on some boots, some sprint out type of plays to protect them, to help create some space between him and the defense. But man, playing with more tempo, because when your old line is struggling, and we're not going to be able to just sit there and block these guys big on big and line up each and every play. I mean, Florida brought 4 guys for the most part and was getting the Arch. Okay, so but I think if we play OU with some tempo, because they're not expecting it, they haven't seen it from us at all on tape this year. Let's get him on the move, man. Let's get him playing in kind of a 2-minute mode type of tempo. Do you think that'll help us have some success in trying to help our run game out and even keep pressure off of Arch?
Yeah, and everybody talks about what a good play caller Steve Sarkisian is, and I think that he's probably struggled a little bit trying to figure out what they can actually do this year. I don't think they have an identity. I think it's been a real struggle because of C.J. Baxter and Quintravian Wisner's injuries. They've tried to figure out, like, what can we do well, and I don't think he knows yet. And I think that's been an issue for his play calling. But I think you're right. You're going to have to do something, especially as elite as this Oklahoma defense has been this year. You're going to have to do something different. And maybe it is tempo. I love that idea, especially if it can wear out that defense a little bit, wear out those the defensive tackles, those defensive linemen, try to get a little tempo going. I love that idea. Now, again, you have to trust your offense enough to be able to do that. You know, if you go fast and go 3 and out, that's not good. You don't want to keep your defense on the field. And so you've got to be able to – I think that's the thing, though. I don't know that Sark knows what he can trust yet. And until he's able to figure that out, he can't – they've got to figure out something, though, because this OU defense is going to come fast on Saturday, and they know what they're facing. And it may be a little bit what we talked about against Florida, too. I thought this was maybe one of the biggest things that happened Saturday. Obviously, the penalties were bad, but the punting – Jack Bowmeister's great. And they had 3 opportunities to pin them inside the 5, and they missed all 3 of those opportunities. And as Sark mentioned today, that's 60 yards. I mean, that's a significant amount of offense that you can pin somebody deep. They missed all 3 of those. I thought that was going to be the biggest thing because I thought that game would be low scoring, and I think this one probably will be too. Kick some field goals. You don't have to go for it on 4th and 2 at the 11. If you're on the 42, go ahead and punt the ball. And if you can pin them inside the 5, your defense is going to be able to – that's an elite defense. I still believe that. And I think that's how you win games like this. I hope Sark doesn't go away from that because he did a really good job of doing it against Florida. It just wasn't successful. So can he maintain that? Because he's the aggressive coach. He's the guy that has that in his head. Can he maintain that? I think that's another big part of it as well.
Yeah, the other part to that is maybe not trusting – our punt team all the way. We had one blocked, you know, and we're the school. We don't get our punts blocked. We go and block punts, and something's off on that as well. And we got to get into our bag again with the special teams because special teams is kind of lacking again. Yeah.
Another former Longhorn had mentioned that, questioning Jeff Banks. What's going on there? To everyone you guys mentioned about the offense, I think it is encouraging that Parker Livingston, that amazing catch, but took that crazy shot to his knee. The imaging was negative, and that's very fortunate. But I also think, to your point about Arch, they need to work on the 10-second remaining in the game offense.
Yeah,
with no timeouts. That was hard to watch. That was just hard. There was no urgency, and you hope your team is never in that situation. But let's be honest, but they had a chance there at the end to not only tie it up, win it, or go to overtime. That's what I meant to say.
And Clynch, isn't that wild? And to think about this, I'll play the Bobtimist here for a little bit. I love being the Bobtimist.
Like it.
Texas played really bad for the most part against Ohio State offensively. Texas played terrible on offense and defense and really special teams against Florida. And in both of those games, they had the ball with under a minute to go tie the game. Think about how wild that is to think. All we talk about after both those games is how bad they played, what went wrong. And they still had a chance to tie it with under a minute to go in both. That's wild to me. And I think it speaks to the talent this team has, to the fight and resolve they're trying to show, and maybe what they can be as they grow as an offense and as a team down the road.
That's a valid point that no one, or at least I have not heard anyone mention. Bob Ballou, you're a great storyteller on the air, on your podcast. Go watch him on KEYE. Follow Bob at Bob Ballou Sports. I mean, every person in here except the bald white guy is a great storyteller in here. But Bob Ballou, is there any other story maybe that really you dig deep and you think that needs to be told that's just as comical today as it was when it happened?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2, and one of them will be really quick. We were at dinner in 2014, and my mom saw Barry Switzer, and she went over to him and wanted to just introduce. She went to Texas, graduated from Texas. She said, "Hey, would you take a picture with my daughter-in-law and me?" So this is my mom on the left, Barry in the middle, and my wife on the right. And you may notice something here. Who's doing the hook 'em?
Oh, Bob.
That is Barry Switzer doing the hook 'em horns with my mom
Coach
and my
Switzer.
wife. So I always love that story. I always bring it out for Texas OU week because it's always fun to have a little fun with that. But I'll give you the story I would only tell in the man cave. In 2018, we were at the Sugar Bowl, and I was getting dressed in my room, and there was a knock on the door, and I went to the door, and it was Clynch. And so Clynch came in. I was sharing room. It was Anthony Geronimo, the legend that I worked with, and he's in the room. We're all getting ready to go. I had on a blue shirt, if I remember correctly. I know Clynch has this, but I had on a blue shirt and boxers. I was getting ready to put my pants on, and I had one white sock on that was pulled up to like my knee, and I was getting ready to put the other one on and put my pants on. And Clynch took a picture of me. And so I've got this picture out there that he could blackmail me with at any point. That's me in a dress shirt with boxers and one sock up to my knee with a look on my face that is basically like, why do you have your camera out? Why are you taking a picture? So my man cave story to you is don't ever get caught in a room getting dressed when Sean Clynch is in there because you never know what's going to happen.
That's good to know. That's really good to know. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'd have kicked him out of my room, man.
Don't pull that picture out, Clynch.
That is in a lockdown app on my phone with the OnlyFans foot pictures. Hey, there are a lot of photos from that. And yeah, well, I think we can all agree. A lot of photos in New Orleans, they stay on our phones. They're not distributed on platforms.
I think you're supposed to delete them, is what I
Yeah, you got to delete that, man.
Just
You got to delete that.
And then, hey, here's a trick. Just because you delete a picture on your phone does not mean it's deleted. You got to go to your delete box and empty that.
Why do you know this, Clynch?
I don't know.
Hey, remember, guys, it's always out there in the iCloud universe. So you think you're deleted, but you're not.
That is a great point.
Yep.
Oh, even after you delete the delete?
I would trust that, yes.
I'd go to your iCloud and look for it. That'd be a smart one, Clynch.
Oh my God. Now I'm a little anxious right now. What may be on that cloud? Hey, Bobby, always a pleasure. And follow him at KEYE. Mike Adams, assistant principal in the Pflugerville ISD, does an amazing job, still changing young people's lives. And was an amazing receiver during a time in which Texas was trying to get back, and they did. And just a good human. And we appreciate you both. And I hope to see you guys both in Dallas this weekend.
Yes, sir, man. Plan to make it up there. It's gonna be a fun one. Hadn't been to one in 20-something years.
Oh my God!
Wow!
Oh wow!
So the last one I went to, I believe, was 03, and kind of similar to Stevie's story. I'm on our sideline, and I believe it was 03. Yeah, 01, 03, I don't know, but Superman was playing, and he hit Chris Sims' arm.
God!
Teddy Lehman came up with the botched, interception on the 2-yard line and walked in the end zone. I didn't even know what had happened because I was on the other end of the field. It happened on the opposite end. Didn't know what happened until I got home that night to the hotel and saw that his arm was hit. All I heard was just Crimson in the stadium screaming at that time. So that was, I'll never forget that image. Just seeing what happened, man. It was a crazy game right there.
It's a fun game, and nobody knows what the hell we're talking about unless you actually experience it. And I'll say it, I think you guys can all agree. I don't care if you're a non-sports fan, this is something that you have to experience. The state fair, all the aromas, the mayhem, the weird people. It's just good people watching, and then seeing that stadium. To me, it is why we romanticize college football.
Yes, sir.
Corny dog and a beer, Clynch. Corny dog and a beer.
Don't forget this.
Corn dog, Fletcher's on me, brother. Hey, if we can all link up, the first round of Wax Cup beers are on me. I still have coupons from last year.
Get your coupons.
Hey, love you boys.
All right, man.
Thanks,
love
brother.
y'all. Be good. Hook 'em this week all day. Boomer, sooner, not.
Hey, Mike, what time is it? It's 3:34.
And OU still
sucks.
Leave it. Well, that was perfect by the former Longhorns. I still have a story when Bob teed up Breckenhager very well one year in 2018. They had just beaten Iowa State. No. Who was it that night?
I can't remember. Oklahoma lost to Kansas. That's what I remember.
Oh, and then Bob teed him up and said, "Hey, we're in the interview room, the old one, and we're interviewing."
We hadn't talked about it, and I said to Brecken, "Hey, did you see Oklahoma lost to Kansas?" And he literally just looked up at the clock and he goes, "Well, it is 10:07, and OU still sucks." And I mean, like, John Bianco and Thomas Stepp were ready to tackle him. Because he had gotten through the whole, he kind of ran his mouth a little bit at times, which was awesome. We
loved him. We loved Brecken.
Great kid. And they had gotten through this entire interview without anything happening. And I mean, it was like he was getting ready to walk out. And I just said, "Oh, did you happen to see it?" And he made the comment. And I mean, they were like, "No."
He did it. That was beautiful.
Hey,
perfect.
It's bulletin board week, baby. Let's get it.
Let's go. This is
Give us something, Arch. Say it, Arch. I want Arch to say it. Man, OU sucks. I don't care. We lost to Florida, but OU sucks. Let's go. Texas by 40 if that happens.
Woo! Man, I love it. And we got some boldness. Now, I've done some fun interviews when Mike was in the high school coaching. That one week I went out there, I'll have to dig it up. And he was horns down and all over the camera. It was beautiful. And he was even more fun when Mike was in his prime in the early 20s. You talk about it. He would have fit in the old school Florida State teams in Miami.
No doubt. No doubt.
Hey, much love, boys. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have the new NIL partner talk about Hargrove Roofing and how he would market Hargrove Roofing. And we're going to talk about, get a look at the renovations that have taken place. I don't notice it, but Chip Brown talks about it, the renovations at the Cotton Bowl. Bob, M.A., much love.
All right, guys. See y'all,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
See you, boys.
We'll see you, boys.
Best way, how do you deliver it? What's your best delivery? So what I like to do is I like to get on the roof. And then I like to kick a football off of the roof, and Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof.
The Bully is a cozy Austin original bar and grill that feels like home. Boulevard Bar and Grill, nestled into this Northwest Hills strip mall, recently celebrated 2 decades. The drink prices are like going back to 2004. It's where familiar faces gather and everyone knows your name. The Bully family are also friends of the stories inside the Man Cave podcast. Boulevard Bar and Grill on Far West Boulevard in Northwest Austin.
They put $140 million into renovating the west side of the Cotton Bowl. Now, the west side is the side that faces Big Tex and the majority of the state fair. And since most of the traffic enters the Cotton Bowl there, they focused the $140 million on that side of the Cotton Bowl. Supposed to be widened concourses, more concessions, 14 new escalators to get people in and out, up to the upper deck and out of there. We'll see. Better bathrooms, allegedly. Now they're going to get to the east side by 2034.
What was that? It sounds like the city of Austin is running that project.
Yeah, no question.
That's ineptitude again. I swear, man. All these cities, it's amusing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. But they do know they have to do something to keep the game there. I'm glad that they're thinking about it. That game should not move anywhere else. It needs to always be right there in the Cotton Bowl.
Be right there. And I know people disagree. Hey, the TikTok in the man cave, have you decided what you're going to be for Halloween yet, or are you still undecided?
I have not even thought about Halloween.
I haven't either, but I think this costume would be fitting for us. Just display all the bones we have in our body. Funky Cole Medina.
That's a great outfit. That's a great costume.
You think that'd be the talk of the party?
It would be the talk of the party.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
All right, Stevie Lee, great episode. Much love to Bob Ballou and our Stories Inside the Man Cave brother, Mike Adams, the great former Texas great receiver, Mike Adams, on the road, always making time for us. Tell me something good, my brother, as we are beginning one of the best weeks that we look forward to. A lot of people do in college football.
This is one of the best weeks of college football. It's Texas OU week, and mind you, I said Texas OU week, not OU Texas week.
That's what they say north of the river.
Yeah, I know, man. It's Texas OU week, man. Last week was not fun to watch. What's so good about this is we get a chance to right the ship, the opportunity to right the ship, man. Right. So
I agree.
Stay locked in with the Longhorns, man. It was really close. We're still in these games, guys. So just be positive. It's not as bad as we think it is. It's going to be fun this week. So just hang in there, man. Something good is we got OU in Dallas, and that's always fun. Go get you a Fletcher's corn dog.
Fletcher's corn dog, and there's so many different foods. But I'll tell you something good, man, about this game. I kind of alluded to it a lot, but I just to encapsulate it, to make it short, I feel like this is a blessing. I grew up here hating Oklahoma, everything about Oklahoma. And my second to last job in my media career, I got a job in Oklahoma City before I finished up at KEYE here in Austin. And that was some 6 great years of my life. Not only did I get to know the OU program up close and personal and Oklahoma State, but I got to see this rivalry from both sides, covering both teams and how different they are, but yet the same. And those connections will remain until I die. So I have been blessed to see this rivalry from both sides of the Red River, and I am forever grateful for the great city of Shreveport and Hargrove Roofing and my college alma mater hometown, or town, that being Nacogdoches, Texas, behind the pine curtain. The red brick streets are beautiful. It reeks of Texas history. And to my hometown, the great city of Austin, Texas, the beautiful place in the Texas Hill Country. And to all of you who watch this, thank you so much for following us and liking and sharing on our social media. And to everyone who has been a part of this, to Bob Ballou and his beautiful family. He is a girl dad, a proud girl dad. Mike Adams, a proud boy dad, he and his better half and that beautiful family. And to all the Texas high school coaches, to all of everybody in the football coaching and the football fandom fraternity, much love to you and to whatever community you involved with. We love you. And for everybody that has taken the time to put up with us, awesome. Continue to follow us. And to the OG Man Cave boys, that being Hardball Harge, Big Mike, and knee coach Mo. What do we tell them, Stevie?
We out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.
I said get out.